Time for Tech Talk. I'm going to peruse a few photos here right quick before we get into our Tech Talk. Let some folks get on board here. George, Brian. (1974) 73 Monte Carlo, I think. It's a long time ago. Hey, Ron, Chris, Alan. Thank you, Ron. Gavin, what's up, my man? All the way from way down yonder. It's already tomorrow at your house. I got a few folks signing in. Check in. Show you guys some cool stuff. There's a picture of my first motor grader. I think that was before Kubota. I think that was when John Deere was still made in Europe. Hey, Chris, Kenny, Kurt. I got a few pictures. I just want to share some stuff with you. As soon as I get a good enough crowd on here, I'll do a little commentary for you on these photos before we get into the Tech Talk. But there's some good stuff to look at. Hey, Dwayne, I'm coming back to see you soon. Well, we need to get up a little bit bigger crowd here. I don't know. How close to 6 o'clock is it? Is it dead on? Hey, Mary Alice. Look, check this out, Mary Alice. Check out this tux right here with the ruffle shirt and the big bow tie. We had it going on, didn't we? Look at this. This is when I overchecked. I got the cute girl. Sorry about y'all. Hey, there's Julie riding on Magic. He was such a great horse. This horse right here trained about 50 girls how to ride. 603, great. There's Jackie and Carrie Myers and John Myers and me and Ken Johnson way back when. There's Winter Circle at Texas. When I was driving, I got me a Wally. Look at there. Hibbler. Patrick, Mickey, me. Look at that, y'all. Somebody call Stan Gardner at GRC and Glenn Giro. And look at that staging disc we're going to talk about. That thing had a staging disc on it. And then here's Indy, 1984. Won the U.S. Nationals. If Richard Shute ever watches this girl right here, she was on one of them photos riding on the back of the mini bike today. I saw one of your pictures. Greg Cope, Ford, Donald, me, Jackie, Miss and Miss Winston, two of them. We were so lucky we had 2 Winston Trophy girls. There's my old buddy, Randy, and Jim, and Russ, and the Hoffmeisters. Cool. All right. I see that we're not doing really good on our numbers. I don't know exactly what that means. I guess the content isn't that great. That's me and my mom and Jackie. That's my granddaddy on my mama's side. And here's the bike we built for Drag Specialties. It was the Punisher. We made a street version of this 133 Street Pro engine where you could ride it. That was a cool bike to ride. That's Julie on the back. I was dressed out in the Torco colors because I was building a bike for Matt Smith to race before he started his own team, and that was the Drag Specialties uniform Julie has on for Chip Ellis riding the bike for us. And then this is when John Myers had first started on our bike. And this is cool. This was back in 1958. I had a black number 3. A black car with a number 3 got to be really famous in my life. And then in 1994, I think it was, I had a pro stock car. I raced with Earl Snyder out of Americas. And anyway, so now we're going to move on to Tech Talk. But that's my little history lesson we did today of some of these cool photos. When I moved to Nashville, Jackie built a little man cave room for me here while I was still working at Star Racing. So that's a very unusual combination of pictures she put together here, but I was very pleased. But let's start on Tech Talk, and I'm going to tell you about this right here. Okay, folks, thank you for tuning in. Tech Talk number 74. This will be the last Tech Talk of the year. We'll do us a new Tech Talk next year. we'll start. But how about this? We made 74 of them in a row. All right, I just want to say hi to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. And now we're going to flip over to the screen. All right, I'm going to cover a few things. I'm going to cover wheelie bar stuff today. I'm going to cover rings today. And we're going to talk about Tech Talk number 74. Can y'all believe that, y'all? 74 weeks in a row we were able to pull this together, you and me. It takes all of us. Also, to finish a little bit, not to finish it because it's about a 7-part series, what I was talking to you guys last week about the timing system. I have got a few numbers squared away here with my friend Jeff Hoster, helped me put this together. And the pre-stage and the stage beam and the guard beam are 1 5/8 inches off the ground. From the ground to the 100th thou beam, okay? 1 5/8 inches. So I drew an imaginary front tire. This one would have both lights on the top of the Christmas tree. The stage light would be on and the pre-stage light would be on. Now you can see where a staging disc would bring us nothing right here because the 1 5/8 inches doesn't cover the tire. It doesn't rise above the tire. So if you did a wheelie, you would have the wheel up and you would be in the tire. Let me get a pointer so that I can do a better job with this. It's not much of a pointer, but maybe you can catch on. Y'all struggle, deal with me now. I'm sitting on the floor. I'm sitting on the floor in my man cave, and I got my board with me right here, and I have on my flamingo socks. I got pink flamingos on, and I'm thankful you guys are here. But look, Julie, my daughter, said, "You're the sockiest person I know." So every day I got something crazy, but I'm thankful to have those today. Anyway, I like me some crazy socks. All right, back to the story. The pre-stage and the stage beam, I'm going to say it might be a dead-on number somewhere between 5 and 6, but this is what I remember. Some tracks you'll notice when you turn the top light on and then you roll and roll and roll and roll and you finally get the bottom light on, that's how far apart these two beams are on your wheel, on your diameter tire. Terry, you're not late. You're just on time. I was just doing a bunch of photo showing, but now I'm telling you some real technical stuff here. All right, we're going to have some questions, I know. Top light, pre-stage. Stage light, right here. And then if you reconnect this beam before this beam, let's see, if you reconnect this beam and the clock still hadn't started, like you're keeping it, oh yeah. If this beam, the guard beam, gets broken by the tire or a muffler or anything or a body part, if this gets broken, the clocks will start. But normally the clocks start when this wheel drives through, and it will look like the back edge of the tire will start the clock. But the guard beam it guards us from cheaters. The guard beam guards us from guys that figured out how to keep this beam blocked when they go. And the reason you want a shallow stage is so you get a running start. Think about how long this would be. With this beam blocked here, and you roll forward, let me get back far enough. It will be the same place in the tire here, would be over here, about right here. No, let's do it right. Hold tight. You guys get seasick watching me. This is how far you should be able to roll this tire. You should be able to roll this tire all the way until the back edge of the tire is right here. Look how far that would be. That's why you don't want to deep stage unless you want a slow ET to show up on the clock. But if you want a really good ET to show up on the clock, you need a shallow stage. And that means you go into just what flicks this light on. And the only way you can make this stage light come on is for you to block this beam. This is a 100 thousandths diameter infrared beam. And if you block this beam with your foot, your hand, the tire, body, fender, this right here will make the stage light come on. Pre-stage doesn't do anything except tell you you're within 5 or 6 inches of the starting line. And so when you break this beam and the pre-stage comes on, that means you got to roll another 5 or 6 inches to turn on the stage light. And the only way you can turn on the stage light is by breaking this beam. This beam is shining across the track, 100 thou in diameter. All right, people ask me about staging disc. Well, back in the day when these were photo cells, these were light bulbs. They were burglar alarm light bulbs, and we used to have photo cells. We used to have light bulbs, and we used to have receivers for the light bulbs and photo sensors. Not photo sensors, photo light bulb receivers for it was a really old timey from the 60s and 50s where you shine a light into a sensor, and people put staging disc in that looked like this, and it may have worked a little bit back in the day. But the beam would have to be way off the ground in order for you to be able to use it, even right here. So there are some specific sizes now that NHRA uses to where you can only have, this beam is only going to be 1 5/8 inches off the ground. This one's 1 5/8 inches off the ground. This one's 1 5/8 inches off the ground. Now, interestingly enough, the finish line is 5.5 to 6 inches off the ground. This same infrared beam at the finish line, at the 3:30 clock, at the 660 mile an hour clock, 660 clock, 1,000 foot, 1320 mile an hour start, 1320 mile an hour stop, and finish line, these photocells, these infrared beams and the receivers are 5.5 to 6 inches off the ground. So to put that in perspective, catch this now. This is only 1 5/8 inches. So if you double that, it's this high. That would be like 3.5 inches. But if you quadruple it up to say 6 inches, that means that this infrared beam is going to be this high at the finish line. So they call them a staging disc, but they're not for staging. The little wheel blades now, or the little guards that they put in the wheels now, those are not for staging. Those are for finish line clocks, or for you to be seen. NHRA made a rule for us after Matt Smith and I were racing the Star Racing bike in Indy. I can't remember the year, Matt knows, but it was like 2005 or 6, maybe. Yeah, 2005 or 6. And we raced Steve Johnson in the final at Indy. It was highly publicized. It was on TV. And we had, on Matt's bike, we had carbon fiber blades in here. And we were blocking the clocks down the track. It was our job. NHRA told me that it was the competitor's job to make their vehicle visible to the equipment that NHRA brings to the track. I was told by Graham Light. Imagine that. That's a good name for a guy that's in charge of the lights. His name was Graham Light. I mean, that's better than Graham Switch. It was Graham Light, and he was in charge of the lights. Well, he was in charge of a lot more than the lights. But anyway, he told us that, he said, look, your bike is missing at the finish line. The clock's missed you. That's not the clock's fault. That's your fault. And I said, why? And he said, well, you got this skinny front tire. You got this skinny rim, and it went right through. Well, there was a lot of, back in the day, and Jeff Foster will back me up on this, but there was a lot of crazy stuff that the clocks would pick up. So they got better and better. And there was and I'm going to call out of school on this, but there was a sensitivity knob, 1 to 10, where they could make the infrared beams. 10 would be very sensitive, and 1 would be very not sensitive. So when they had the infrared beam sensitivity set on 5, this would keep birds could go through there and not stop the clocks or start the clocks. Like Paul Gass would call it, a paper cup, a lid off a coffee cup, a hot dog wrapper, all kind of stuff was getting blamed for going through the clocks. Like there would be a guy in front and there would be a guy behind him, and the guy behind him would get the wind light and the guy in front wouldn't. And it's because the sensitivity was set to cut down on the drama. Like, I don't want to see everything. I want to see when a car comes through. I want to see when a top fuel car or a funny car or a pro stock car comes through, or a super stock car. But a motorcycle with this skinny little bicycle wheel, the littlest tire we could get, the littlest wheel we could get, would come through, sometimes the clocks wouldn't get us, and we would get these weird mile-an-hour numbers. I remember if you had I'm going to draw a picture really rough. Here's a Pro Stock motorcycle. It's got a little fairing on it. It's got a body. It's got a dude tucked in or a girl, and then they're like this, and they're all tucked, and the arms holding on the handlebars, and they got the tailpiece, and they got the back wheel, and they're coming through the finish line, and this was invisible. And this would catch the clocks. That's all right if you're winning by half a bike. This guy would win. But what if you were me and Steve Johnson and Matt Smith were side by side at the finish line? This is the first time in NHRA history that a replay camera determined the winner rather than what the clock said. We went through the finish line. We got the win light. We won. TV camera showed Steve in front. We got the win light. This is us. And this was Steve. I ain't mad at Steve. I'm going to tell you a true story, and it ain't popular. It is for some people. But we got the win light. We went through down the track. We got the win light. TV camera. They had a camera on the wall. They had the TV truck was at the finish line right here, and they were all standing there watching. This is Indy, U.S. Nationals. I think it was probably 15 years ago. It was probably about the 50th. Maybe it was the 50th anniversary U.S. Nationals or the 55th, somewhere in that range. But it was really heavily televised. Steve Johnson, side by side with Matt Smith, through the finish line. We got the winner's circle. We got the trophy. We got the $10,000. We went to the party. We went to celebrate. We did the victory party. We got everything. Winner's circle, photos, champagne, everything. Got home on Tuesday. Race was on Monday. U.S. Nationals race on Labor Day. Got home, and Graham Light had never called me before, and he calls me on the phone. Hey, Shane was there. Shane Maloney was there. This is a great story. Listen, and everybody has their view of it, but I know people are watching me, so I'm not talking to like some guys over at the bike shop. I'm talking to the world right now. But this is a funny story because this is the first time in history. So Steve and Shane go to the TV truck and say, hey, we were in front at the finish line. The clocks are wrong. Graham says, no, we used the clocks. I say we had the staging disc or the finish line disc, and Steve Johnson had a naked front tire, the lightest one he could get, the lightest front wheel he could get. There's photo evidence of all this. And Steve we get the win light, but Steve's in front, and the camera proved it. So Shane and Steve go to the truck and they watch the video, and the TV people are going, oh, no, Steve won. So they call the race back the next day, and they said, we were wrong, Steve won, clocks were wrong, send the trophy to Birmingham. I said, what? Send the trophy to Birmingham? So guess what? We box it up, we send it to Birmingham, and then Steve Johnson and Matt Smith go on TV on the NHRA Today show, and graciously Matthew hands the trophy over to Steve, and justice was done. But I want you all to know the historical value of this. The precedent was, this is the first time in history that a TV camera proved that the clocks were wrong. We did not recognize the winner based on the clocks. We recognized the winner based on the photo finish. So we went from NHRA drag racing to horse racing, where they use Steve won by a nose, and we had to give the trophy back. So anyway, we had lots of Wallies at Star Racing over the years with 11 or 12 different people. Matt Smith won his first Wally with us. Chip Ellis won his first Wally with us. We had a lot of guys that started off that won with us, and it was fun because we were a place for them to start. We were not the company where they stopped. We were a stepping stone where a guy would come in, we'd introduce them to NHRA, teach them how to race and race with us, and then they'd move on and do bigger and better things. We were just a stepping stone. But let me tell you, the last thing about this part that I want to tell you, it's interesting. This staging disc ended up being a finish line disc, not a staging disc. And If you say I said this, I'll deny it. So if you didn't hear me, say it fast. I'm going to say it fast. You ready? They didn't ask for the money back. Okay. I didn't get the trophy, but we got to keep the cash. All right, moving on. Finish line clocks. 5.5 to 6 inches off the ground. This is really cool. The 60-foot clock, the 60-foot beam, is 10 inches off the ground. When you go to 60 foot, you ever notice that if you go down there and you look at the box, the reflector box down there in the middle of the track, some of them have the reflector here, some have the reflector here, and some have the reflector here. And the 60 foot's the highest, and the reason they do have them the highest at 60 foot is because people carry the front tire that high in the air. I am off that subject. I rest my case until it comes up again. I was real happy with how all of that went. I'm not mad. I was at first. I was mad when it happened. I got over it. If I have time, I'm going to talk about piston rings. But right now, I want to talk about wheelie bars because it's close to the same thing. Everybody says, what do you set your wheelie bar at? And I said, you want it to where there's a sheet of paper between the front tire and the ground. No, I want to set my wheelie bars. I'm like, okay, look. What do you want to set the wheelie bars? You want the front tire off the ground. Okay? I see people going down the racetrack with the front tire 2 feet in the air, 1 foot in the air, 5 inches in the air. Why? The goal is to have all the weight on the back tire, not all the weight on the wheelie bar, or not 50% of the weight on the wheelie bar, not 50% of weight on the rear tire. So let's draw one more little diagram. There's 3 tires on the motorcycle. This is the front one, this is the back one, and this is the wheelie bar. When you're going down the racetrack and you're trying to get all the acceleration and all the traction you can get, how many pounds do you want on this one? How many pounds do you want on this one? And how many pounds do you want on this one? In my opinion, I want all the weight on this tire. So that means this one has to be off the ground a little bit. And this one has to be off the ground a little bit. Okay. Where do you want it to be close to the ground? Well, where do you have the most traction trouble? Do you have the most traction trouble at the starting line, or do you have the most traction trouble at the finish line? I have the most traction trouble whenever I race something closer to the starting line because I don't have 3,000, 10,000, 8,000, 6,000, whatever horsepower them guys are to have smoked the tire at the finish line. Whenever we spin something, we smoke the tire at the starting line or at 60 feet or 40 feet. So it's not smart, in my opinion, for this tire on a pro stock bike to be... All right, going to a new marker. We have an orange ground now, and here's the rear tire, and it's starting to spin. Why do you want the front tire up here? Why do you want the front tire this high? And the wheelie bar is pinned. And you're going down the racetrack with, say your bike and you weigh 800 pounds. And you're burning these wheels and bearings up because you got about 400 pounds here. And you got about 400 pounds here. And you got no 100 pounds here. Things that make me go, So, how many people ever smoke the tire at the starting line because the wheelie bars are too low? I don't spin the tire bad with the wheelie bars low. I set the wheelie bars like you say, maybe an inch off the ground, maybe an inch and a half off the ground, maybe 2 inches off the ground at the starting line. But when the bike moves forward, where your most traction trouble is, it's right at the starting line, and it should only have 10 thousandths air under it, because if you have more air under the front tire, you have just transferred the weight off the rear tire to the wheelie bar, and you want more weight on the rear tire and less weight on the wheelie bar. So you're going down the track and the front tire comes up, the weight's moving to the back. The higher the front tire goes, the more the weight moves to the back, and the more the back tire spins. Okay, it is wasted movement. Hey, somebody, if you're close watching me, tell me what time it is, because I got something else I want to go over with you right quick. Somebody call at the time. I'm waiting. I don't have a clock up here yet in this little man cave. Somebody put it up. It's coming. 30 seconds out. We are going to, hey, Randy. Hey, James. Hey, Gary Brown. Ken Strauss. Hey, John. Hey, Gary. Oh, 5:25. Getting close. All right. I want to tell you. Thank you, Jackie. We have, I wanted to talk to you real quick about rings. We have this piston rings. I'm going to do the Tech Talk number 75, if you can help me remember, to tell you more I know about rings. And this is about what I think I know. And there's a lot of folks, I talk to a lot of people every day that want to know about compression ratio and cam timing, and they want to know about rings. And I'm running out. Thank y'all so much for that time. It's 10:30 in Australia. That means we're getting on out there. Jason watching, Scott. Hey, I just want to tell you guys that I'm very thankful that I have a lot of info to share, and I don't have time today to go into the ring deal because it's another whole Tech Talk session by itself. But the rings are specific for use. We need to talk about how to take advantage of that. I'll give you my opinions on all that. And yes, of course, the bigger the tire, the more it squats. I know all that. You and I both know that. But when it squats all the way down, it's going to come up the next frame because it's got 6 pounds of air in the tire. And the first frame is the rim and the axle goes down and all the air comes out from under it and goes to the top. As soon as the air runs into the center, it comes right back and lifts it up again. So you can't set your wheelie bars for that first frame. If you do, you ain't gonna make it down the track. Also, the guys doing wheelies, man, they're 2 feet in the air or 10 inches in the air or whatever, they are showing the oil pan, and they work in the shop and they work in the wind tunnel and they put these fairings on and they get all tucked in and stuff. But if you looked at it from the front, going down the track, if you looked at your motorcycle from the front and you see the oil pan and you see the bottom of the engine, and you see the bottom of the bodywork, and you see the belly pan from the finish line, your wheelie bars are too high, brother. And everybody's worried about breaking the wind and being aerodynamic and all that. You need to get your frontal area down. And I'm going to say down, I'm talking about down. This is a skiff. And if you skiff it up high enough, you can take off and go up, just like an airplane. Anyway, last Tech Talk of the year. We made it all the way, 74 weeks, Tech Talk every Tuesday. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for following. I have much more to go by the grace of the good Lord. We made it through Christmas. We have New Year's coming. And I'm going to talk to you guys next Tuesday. And I will either be in Tennessee or I will be in Georgia because I live in both places right now because I have not finished my business and moving in Georgia. But all my stuff that I used to live is in Tennessee. And I really love it here, and I want to move here full time. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you for tuning in. And I want to share that. Thank you all. Thank you to the good Lord. I appreciate y'all. May God bless y'all. And tune in again. And keep sending me those questions and suggestions. We made it. Last Tech Talk in 2020, number 74. Thank y'all. God bless.